this is Carla and welcome back to the studio, and thank you for joining me for today's video. So for today I thought I would give you a little bit of Christmas inspiration if you have the desire to create your own Christmas cards rather than buying them in the store. So the whole idea behind this will be on the first of each month I will come on and I will create 2 Christmas cards using maybe just one particular stamp set, or maybe it's in a bundle. But the whole idea behind these cards they're going to be simple. They're not going to be very detailed and very time consuming, because the whole idea is that you may want to mass produce this card and you just don't want to spend a whole lot of time in creating each one. So for the cards that we're going to make today, I'm going to be using the From Our House to Yours stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set, and you can layer all these pieces together, like creating the house. You can add the doors and the roofs, and you can do this in different colors. So the card that I'm going to be making today, it's just a very simple 1-layer card, and it's our card base. So I have a piece of thick basic white cardstock measuring 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4.25. And I'll fold this and then burnish it. And then we're going to be stamping directly onto our card base. So just a simple 1-layered card. The colors of ink I'll be using: shaded spruce, cherry cobbler, night of navy, and pool party. So I have basically all of my stamps mounted on the blocks, and I'm going to start off with in the middle. So I'm going to ink up my larger, taller house, and I'm going to stamp this about the middle. Okay, and then I'll bring in my shaded spruce and ink up the tree, and I will stamp that just to the left of it. And then we'll bring in the roof for that house, and we're going to stamp that in pool party. Let's see if I can get this lined up. Being that these are photopolymer, you can see through them, so you can see where to line them up. And that came out perfect considering I didn't have my head completely over it. And then there's a little door, and I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy. Let's see if we can get this lined up. Not bad. Actually, let me clean. Nope, I don't need to clean that. Let's see. Now for our other house, we're going to stamp that in pool party. And we're going to stamp that just to the right of it. Okay, and then bring in the roof, and we'll do that in Night of Navy. Stamp right over that. Not bad, not bad. And then there's a little door for that one. We'll stamp that in cherry cobbler. Okay. And then we got our greeting. So we're going to do Merry Christmas. And we're going to do that in Night of Navy. So I'll do the Christmas first. I'll put that right here. And then I'll bring in the Merry. Ink that up. And I will stamp that just to the left of it. Okay. Now let me clean off one of the stamps so I can bring in the smoke image for the chimney. And we'll stamp that in Night of Navy right over this chimney right here, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my adhesive back snowflakes. Now for these we have a choice. We can go for the white iridescent or the clear. I think I'll go with the ones that look a little more clear. They have kind of like that purplish pink and green in them. And I will just add 3 of those onto my card. Just like that. Okay, so that's our first card. Very simple. Didn't take much time at all to create it. The easiest way to mass produce this card, in my opinion, that I find that works faster for me, is kind of do it in steps. So for this center house, I would stamp all of my card bases with that image and then go on to the, like say if I were to do the roof next, then I would go and stamp all the roofs for the rest of them and do it in that way. And that way you're just kind of working through all of them at the same time and you're using the colors all at the same time. So that way when you're done with the color, you can close up the ink pads. So that's our first card. Let's go on to our second. Okay, so for my second card, we're going to just step it up just a little bit. So for this card, I'm going to bring in the deckled rectangles. And also, this is a DSP that goes way back. It's obviously retired, called Season of Style Designer Series Paper Stack. And these are the patterns that are in there. So I'm going to use the cherry cobbler and the white striped on this. And for this, you can use any DSP that you may have. So I'm starting out with a piece of thick basic white again. That measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I took a piece of that DSP, and this measures about 4 1/4 by 3. And then I have another piece of basic white that measures 4 by 2.5. These are basically scraps that I'm going to use to die cut these 2 dies right here. So I'm going to start off with folding my card base. And then go ahead and use my bone folder to burnish that. And we'll set that aside. And right now what I'll do is I'll bring in my die cutting machine. And for this part, I'll go ahead and speed it up. Be right back. Okay, So now that I have that die cut, I'm going to stamp on this piece here, and I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet underneath it just so that way I can see the piece a little bit better. So for my card base, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my greeting. And my greeting says, "Wherever we wander, wherever we roam, at Christmas time our hearts come home." And I'm going to stamp that in cherry cobbler ink. And let's make sure we have it the right way up. And I'm going to stamp that up near the top and center it. I'm just going to hold it down for a second just so that ink will transfer to the paper. Okay. And then for this piece here, I'm going to adhere that down. Yep. And then for mass producing, when you've got die cutting involved on it, I like to do all the die cutting of all the pieces at the same time, and then all that's left to do is to do the stamping and then the assembling. So I'm going to add this here kind of like at an angle, like so. And then there's a little heart stamp, and I'm going to randomly stamp a few of those right up here, right by our greeting. Like so. Okay, put those aside. Let's see, I think, are we going to need this color still? No. Well, no, maybe. Okay, so then for this piece here, this is where we're going to stamp some of our houses down. I am going to start off, got a larger house here. I'm going to stamp that in Night of Maybe. And then actually I'm going to do my trees first because I'm going to put that in the middle. Okay, so let me take this in more detailed where you see all the branches, and I'm going to stamp that like in the middle here. And then let's see, I want to bring in this filler piece. I'm going to ink this up in the shaded spruce. I'm going to stamp off and then stamp right over it, like so. Now we may stamp a couple of more trees, so I'm just going to keep that aside for the moment. Then I'm going to stamp this house base over here on this side. And then I'm going to bring in Smoky Slate. And I'm going to stamp the roof piece. And get this lined up. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in a door. So let's see, which door would we like to use? Should have thought about this before I started the video. So let me bring in a block. And I'm going to stamp that in cherry cobbler, like so. And then I'm going to put in another house, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue ink. And I'm going to do the taller one that we used in the other card. I'm going to stamp that over on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to use this roof, and I'm going to do that in Night of Navy. Put that right there. And then, let's see, for the door, let's go ahead and clean this one. And we'll bring in the other one that we used earlier. And then this one, we'll go and use Smoky Slate. Okay. And then I want to add, let's see, I want to add another 2 trees, but we're going to stamp off of this piece of it. So let me get my branchy part of the tree, get that stamp, and I will stamp that over on this side. And then I'll stamp another one down over here. And then I'll bring in the filler piece. Let's move these stamp ink pads out of the way. I'll stamp that off, and then just stamp right over it. Like so. Okay. I think, is that it? Yeah. Let's go ahead and close these all up. Get these all out of the way so we don't ink all over the place. And I'll move these out of the way. Okay. And then I'll bring in my adhesive. And actually, you know what we'll do? We're going to get our dimensionals. And I'll pop this layer up. I'll tell you what, it actually is feeling like it's winter time here today. Yesterday it was rainy, and it did get colder. Cold front came through, and actually last night between midnight and 9 this morning, we actually had a freeze warning, so there was some frosty grass out there this morning when I got up. And I mean, it was sunny, but it was still cold. I think it was like in the 50s. And it's supposed to be like that again tonight, where we're still under a freeze warning tonight as well. So I'm going to add this kind of straight, like so. And then I'll bring in my snowflake. and I'll add a few of those on here, and I'm going to add them to this center stamped piece. We'll put a few of these on here, like so. Okay, so there is our second card. Let me kind of move things out of the way, and I'll remove this. Get this out of the way so you can see the cards a little bit better. So here was our first card, and here's our second, just a little more stepped up. And again, I had used the From Our House to Yours Photopolymer stamp set. So thank you for joining me today for my first episode of Christmas Card Inspiration. I hope this has inspired you. If you have the same stamp set, go ahead and use that. Or maybe the inspiration comes from the color combination in which I used. It could be maybe you have another stamp set that has houses and trees. So the whole idea, like I said, is to give you some inspiration in making your Christmas cards. So I thank you for joining me, and I will see you again the 1st of December. Bye-bye.